Good morning. I just want to have a little chat today about a subject that has been important for me to realise in life, and the challenges that can come to every single human on a day-to-day basis, out of the blue, not being prepared for it, um, not realizing that things were going to happen, or incidences may arise, or circumstances could occur where we're put into positions where it's completely out of left field. Where, I'm sure we all can relate to, I never expect that to happen, or I didn't wake up to this. Wow, this has come left field. I've had them myself, um, where I might be on the road, and somebody might cut in front of me, or people might get annoyed. I could encounter something, um, going out with other people. Um, a situation may arise where I wasn't expecting it to rise, and coming out of left field. And in those situations where we have to cope, and we have to deal with things, and it can somewhat shock us that certain events can take place completely out of our control, and somewhat knock us off our perch, put us into uncertainty, anger, resentment, um, fear, annoyance, frustration, wanting to react to people that bring up these emotions within us, and our thoughts that we sometimes don't like from these events. In these events, I have found the more at ease, and the more flexible that we are, when we encounter situations that will challenge us, and not of our own doing. I know I talk about responsibility and accountability, but there is situations where it won't be of your own doing, but what is required, I firmly believe this, in all of us. Uh, well, it's a better way to live, I can assure you. You're responsible for your reactions, and what you do in your life. It's not what happens to us in our life. It's how we deal with it. And like, I was in New Zealand years ago, and I was skiing at a place called Wanaka, and I was walking past a real estate agent, and it had a little analogy there about um, being rigid in life, and what happens to a tree when when it's not moving in the wind, or when nature's coming upon that tree, and it hasn't got the ability to sway and go with the situation, and it cracks. I learnt years ago, uh, the better approach to things that come upon us, that are completely out of left field, and we don't know where it comes from, is having the ability to roll with it, having the ability to take the hits, to take the knocks, to take the blows from things that we're not prepared to take. Now that's easy. That's easier said than done. You know, saying, oh well, you know, just roll with it and just flow with it, and you'll be able to bend with it and roll with it and deal with it. Well, that's an option, and the skill set to do that is in all of us. We have got the ability to be flexible when we understand that, you know, these are our feelings, these are our thoughts, these are our emotions that come to the forefront when we're confronted in uncertainty, and you know, these feelings, as I've said before, they won't kill you. To be unsure, to be scared, to be knocked off your perch, the initial reaction to that generally, for people who want some gratification out of it when it happens, is to react, is to come back at the situation and blame the situation, because what happens within us with our feelings and how much it can put us out of whack. And most people can't separate themselves from those emotions in those times. Things can be such a shock to people, where it's so much as a shock, where not even thinking about it, they want to come back, or they want to react to the situation. But somewhere in there, if people could take a little step back and breathe in those situations, and have a look at those situations and go, okay, well, like in the past, I've reacted to these situations, and reacting to situations because we can't separate ourselves from our feelings, or some of us, isn't always the best outcome for situations that could come along unexpectedly in somebody's life. You know, that it's putting fuel on the fire sometimes, and the outcome of that is usually not in your favour. When things happen to people unexpectedly, usually that happens when people come at you, or as I said, or situations will happen where they're coming from a position of wanting a reaction, or seeking some kind of validation from you, or it might be a situation where it's not involving directly other people. It could be an accident, it could be something that you could see where it brings up feelings where, you know, you sometimes want to react to it, and as long as it could be somebody getting hurt, it may be somebody who who you see that could require your assistance. And you know, it's how we react in those times. Like trying to not react to the feelings of yourself straight up is probably, you know, the best approach. And the more flexible we are in that, and the more we see that, the more we can handle the situation a lot better. And it's like I've heard people talk about when it's tough, when things are very fearful. It is important to try and get a calm head, and it is important to try and take a breath and not react to our emotions, because sometimes, well, most times when we react to our emotions, it's a reaction more so than dealing with the situation. I think to deal with situations that come out of left field, or any situation, really that brings up a reaction within us. If we're just reacting to our own emotions all the time, then we're probably struggling to develop another way to cope with things that has an effect on us. And things are going to have an effect on all of us every day in some aspect. Line it up. There's always things on a day-to-day basis when when you go to work, when you interact with other people, when you're trying to achieve things, your children, your family. There's always coming to a crossroads of being affected by others, and the more flexible you can find within your emotional state, not to participate in that reaction, to be soothed, and I used to do it with anger. I used to react a lot with anger, but I realised reacting a lot with anger just created more angry responses, and when I learned to relax myself and be calm, and put my and come back from situations when they arose, each day, I had the ability to actually bring people down also from that state. I realised that my reaction, it mightn't have been the reason why it came to me in the first place, but I realised the power in my reaction, and at times I could see the benefit in reacting differently to circumstances or incidences that used to come to me, and they still do come on a day-to-day basis, and the way I learned to deal with that is to be a lot more flexible within my soul, and take the hits, take the the situations that triggered me, and it was good to be triggered, because what happened, the more I got triggered, the more I learnt how to manage this stuff more appropriately, instead of reacting to situations and people and circumstances outside of myself. And it taught me when I realised that my reaction was more important than what happened to me.
I'll see you later, Dad.
It was how I dealt with that situation. See you later, mate. That was just my son going out. And I found power in that. I found a lot of power in that. I become not at the whim of other people's behaviours to me. I could step back from that, and yeah, stepping back from a situation and not getting emotionally involved. And I know it's hard. I know it's really hard. But practice practice makes perfect, and the more I practiced at something, in as far as reactions are concerned to situations, the more I got better, not to not to react to situations, and not to buy into things, and that helped. That gave me freedom in my life, where I wasn't vulnerable to to other people outside of myself. I realised that these instant reactions that I had been doing all my life, I contributed to these situations. I bought into these situations, and I wasn't, and I never used to like getting into confrontation or getting into full on arguments, or I'd much better seek a resolution from struggle, or a resolution from conflict, or a resolution with my loved ones, instead of being reactive to it. It was much more healthier to get benefit from situations that come out of left field, or incidents that arose, and there is benefit, I found, by being flexible, and taking the high road when knocked off my perch, always seeking that high road, and always seeking a new approach, and not, again, not accusing people for the way I feel, because it's so easy to it's to blame, so easy. One of the greatest gifts anybody can have is knowing thyself, and taking control of their feelings and their thoughts, and not externalising it all to the world, and leaving ourselves in situations where we're at the mercy of other people, and we actually participate in the struggle. If you can learn from every situation, if you decide that your life is a learning component, there's so much to, I think there's so much to learn in life. But again, it's the outlook. It's how you see what these struggles are about. And if they're just struggles, well, it's usually everybody else's fault why that struggle. The first thing is, like, I'll talk about being flexible in situations, and dealing with them differently, and not reacting to your feelings. But if you can't take responsibility for it all, it's going to be a struggle. It really is. It'll be struggle town. If you can't take stock of what's within you, and your thoughts, and your behaviour to situation, that's the first thing, and it has to be really clear that's a decision that has to be made within your soul. I think it's the best decision anybody will ever make. The best. Because it will allow you to not buy into stuff, And when I say not buy into stuff, not buy into it where there's no result, where there's no learning in it. Because what's the point if there's no learning? If it's just blah 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 and you're screaming and carrying on, or friggin' hardship or heartache or disappointments or getting scared, getting disappointed, like that stuff comes for a reason, I believe, and it comes. I firmly believe this. The main reason why it comes to all our lives, and we all go through it, is to understand the responsibility that you have with your thoughts and your feelings, and how we react to situations or circumstances or anything else that may come up. We have a choice in there to react to that differently. And if you think you don't have a choice in there, then maybe you need to arrive at that first. And with that, have a good Saturday. Take care.